Do you want to become a professional pilot and you're wondering if you need a college degree to help with your career progression? Well, in this video, I'm going to explain why I think you should get a college degree, but I'll give you some reasons why not. So, hi, I'm Dr. Andy Moltar. I'm a flight instructor at CFI IIMEI. I'm a former corporate pilot and I'm a professor of aviation. And welcome back to Moltar Aviation. Yeah, I definitely think that you should get a college degree if you're looking to become a professional pilot. Um, and specifically, if you want to become an airline pilot, I think it it is possible to get a airline pilot job without a college degree, but it's going to make getting hired much harder. So there's several reasons why you do want to get a college degree. One, you know, when you're applying to the airlines, most other pilots that you're going to be competing against for that pilot job will have a bachelor's degree. And so if you don't have a bachelor's degree, I mean, you're really going to have to stand out with more flight hours, more pilot certificate ratings, a lot varied uh, experience in terms of the type of aircraft you've flown. Whereas, if you're applying for like a regional airline, someone that has a bachelor's degree, they've been a CFI, and like 1,300 hours of their 1,500 hours is flying, just working as a CFI, but they have a bachelor's degree. I mean, you're really going to have a lot more flight time with a lot different types of aircraft, maybe even like turbine aircraft, to kind of stand out. Now, I'm not a hiring manager, so maybe I'm wrong on that, but I just feel like it's one of those things is that once you get that bachelor's degree, you always have it. It's a box you can check. That's one of the reasons. All right, the second thing I want to tell you about is the pilot pathway program. So a lot of regional airlines will have these pathway programs that will allow you to get hired without a college degree, and then when you're in their pathway program, they have these pathway programs set up with like the legacy airlines. So let's say you went to Envoy, for example. And so Envoy is a wholly owned subsidiary of American Airlines. And if you go there long enough, or if you work at Envoy long enough, you can eventually flow through to American Airlines as a first officer. Now, that is what's on paper, but I've seen it happen a lot of times where a lot of my friends, they got hired as a first officer at Envoy, and they got promoted to captain, and then they went on to a completely different airline. But that different airline, like United or Delta, they didn't get hired, or they probably would not have gotten hired if they didn't have their bachelor's degree. Now, if they went through the flow through program with American, they could have been hired without their bachelor's degree, but the flow through probably would have added years to their progression versus just going ahead and having that bachelor's degree. All right, so let's say you don't want to become an airline pilot. You want to become a corporate pilot. Do you have to have a bachelor's degree? No, you don't. A lot of corporate pilots do not have bachelor's degrees. So if you really do not want to get a bachelor's degree, then yep, corporate pilot, that will work. Flying for like a Part 135 cargo company, you don't need a bachelor's degree. But I mean, if you want to get on with like FedEx or UPS, it just makes your resume stand out a lot more. All right, so then you might be thinking, okay, if I'm going to get a bachelor's degree, which kind of bachelor's degree should I get? Well, really, any bachelor's degree will work. You want a bachelor's degree in anthropology? Good. You want a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering? Good. It doesn't really matter. Even if you got aerospace engineering degree from MIT, when you get hired by the airlines, they're like, "Oh, that's nice," but it doesn't support your airline flying. So if you are going to if one of your reasons for not wanting to get a bachelor's degree is the cost, well, just go to the cheapest university you can for a bachelor's degree. It really doesn't matter what the degree is in. But with that being said, I would recommend, if you can afford it, is getting a degree in um, like professional pilot or something like that. So there's a lot of bachelor's degrees in aviation, and a lot of these degrees will help you qualify for reduced ATP minimum. So if you haven't already seen it, watch my video about reduced ATP mins. It's I believe number 7 in my different pilot license videos. I'll go ahead and leave a link to it in the description below. But with the bachelor's degree in aviation, if it helps you meet that reduced ATP requirements, then you can get your r-atp at 1,000 hours instead of 1,500 hours for the ATP. Well, and another reason why getting a degree in aviation would be very helpful is because this is going to be your profession, and so why not study the field that you're going to go into? I've seen it happen with a lot of my students. I'm a college professor and a professor of aviation, and a lot of my students, they're all getting degrees in aviation, and so some of them have actually, for some reason or another, lost their medical certificate during their flight training towards their bachelor's degree in aviation. So in our program, they can go from private to commercial multi-engine, get their flight instructor certificate. But some of the students along the way have lost their medical certificate, and so, but what I've seen them do then is be able to leverage what little flight training they've already received, plus changing their major to a different major that we have in aviation, and they're able to get a job in aviation really easily. And so, the thing about aviation is once you go into the aviation world, it becomes addicting. You just never want to leave. And even for myself, I left aviation for a short period, but I'll just pull back in because it's just such a wonderful industry. If you have just even a little bit of aviation education or you have your aviation degree with just even a little bit of flying experience, I mean, you stand out a lot more compared to a lot of other people that came from different industries trying to get into aviation. All right, well, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the description or in the comment section below. I made this video because someone asked me a question about their son getting into flight training, if they should get a college degree. And if you want, go ahead and subscribe. That way you get notified when I come out with more types of these videos. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care.